Welcome back, everybody, to the Gears Pro League Split 2 Phase 2 Day 1. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob MVPR. We're already heading into our last series. Been a very quick night. All of our series so far have been hot 2-0s, but this one might go the distance. Noble VQ. We might be getting 27 rounds, Jacob.
Might be getting 27 rounds indeed. The way Noble had finished off the regular season, and I put emphasis on regular season,
yes.
The way Vanquish kind of, I almost want to say the way they played within, because they were actually up on the Pittsburgh Knights, I do believe maybe 3-0 if I remember correctly, in map number 3. Who knows? They could have been playing E United in the losers finals to advance to what would be their second grand finals. But man, one thing you did take note on is Vanquish is actually practicing at the beginning of this split. And that's a scary thought. A team that's just already firing on all cylinders, and practicing and really getting it together, not leaving any excuses, because we saw what Vanquish was able to do at the beginning of that last split, to where they took the scene by torch, qualified through challengers, dominated the scene, took that major. They're looking to do that here yet again.
They absolutely are. And you know what? I'm glad you brought up the fact that they've been practicing. Again, last night they were scrimming against Hive. And I'm not going to lie, guys, they were looking solid. And if you're looking good against Hive, man, you can look good against any team that is out there. And you look at the head-to-head, man, and I mean, it's pretty much identical. Other than the KDAs, which go there, you have a map win percentage, 70 to 69, right? It is what it is. But heading into the mid-split playoffs, so these were two very storied teams that we expected quite a bit out of. Actually, Noble was in that first place spot, and man, did they drop the ball during mid-split playoffs or what?
Yeah, they definitely did. But I look at the negative 123 for Vanquish, but then I go to the top and see 9-2. And to me, like I said, it only shows a story, and the story telling me right now that Vanquish's strategy, Vanquish's play style is kind of like a double-edged sword in some aspects, to where they're going in, they're flying high, getting elimination after elimination, but that opens up the possibility of then getting eliminated themselves in the same fashion. So I don't know who just yet has the upper hand. You know me, I like to look at the picks and bans, because a lot of the times that shows if something slips through that I don't like, I'll let somebody know about it.
Let's take a look at them, Jacob. Let's see if something slipped through that you mentioned that you don't like. We got Harbor, Vascar, and Asylum. What you thinking?
I think this one is kind of right down the center when it comes to both of these teams, when it comes to both of their play styles. Every time I seem to sleep on Noble, they come out on top in matchup. So when it comes to these maps, Harbor, we know how aggressive it can be. We just saw it. Vasgar, very, very aggressive, but rotationally based. And Asylum, I would think that's the most balanced map if we get there, to where either team kind of has the chance to take that one. But just looking at these maps, I'm a little worried right now. I'm a little worried.
Why are you a little worried, man? Talk to me. What's going on? Why are you worried so much?
Just the way Vanquish has been playing in those same scrims right now.
Okay.
They're ready to fly around. They're ready to take shotgun fight after shotgun fight.
So what you're saying, you're worried for Noble. You're worried for Noble in this situation.
I mean, it could be worried for Vanquish as well. I talked about it. That double-edged sword. I said they're ready to take shotgun fight after shotgun fight. I didn't say they would be winning them all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you know what? VQ with that added practice, I think they're going to be okay. Again, and I say this every time, and I don't know if it's annoying or not. You can tell me if it is and shut me down, but I don't know where Noble sits. I really don't. Every single time I cast over them, I never know what I'm going to get. There's been one, actually, I think every time I've casted over them, they've dropped the ball in one way or another. Like, one player's been isolated. He's like, I think I go back, I forget whoever they were playing against. It was on Foundation very specifically. Lava was getting isolated in that mid fight, and he was clearly the reason why as to why that mid fight wasn't going their way, and they were breaking down. I think it was against Fire and Ice, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, though, I never know where to pin them. And I'm even more confused after mid-split playoff, again, getting first place in Pro League. I'm thinking, wow, these guys are looking incredible. And then to drop the ball, series number 1, they lose 2-0 to Elevate. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Elevate's playing well, but I mean, Noble's first in Pro League, but whatever. And then you go down, Rated R, no offense to Rated R whatsoever, but they didn't have the best of seasons compared to that of Noble, right? Or I should say Phase 1. But then Rated R takes a map off of them, and it looks like it's going to be a close series. Noble barely skates by and then moves forward in loser bracket, only to lose to FNI 2-0, which, fair enough. FNI is FNI. They've been playing incredible. They are the great disruptor team, but they weren't playing very well during mid-split playoffs. They really weren't. In fact, they go on to play PK, and they end up losing. Granted, it's PK. They made it to grand finals. It is what it is. But I don't know where Noble sits. I really don't, Jacob.
I kind of think you're almost exactly right, because they're one of those teams to where I didn't have them necessarily as high in my preseason power rankings before the whole entire season started. But week after week, I was proven wrong. You see that 9-2 record. You hear some comments being talked to them about their play style being a little boring. But hey, boring or not, exciting, win's a win in my book.
I mean, hey, a W is a W. And speaking of W's, let's talk about our predictions. We've only taken one L tonight, and I'm not looking to take another one. So for me, I think I've made it very apparent who I'm not very convinced on, so I got to go with the opposite. I've got to go with VQ. I think VQ is going to take this, and honestly, I think VQ could take this in a 2-0. We could have 2-0s across the board in every series. VQ's been practicing. Again, they were looking good against Hive last night. Granted, one of the stronger maps that they played on was actually District, which obviously doesn't fall into the wheelhouse of the series. But regardless, though, I think VQ has it within them to take it to Noble. They're just that team that I think is a little bit more well-rounded. Noble, they're a great defensive team. We've seen some offense come out from them as well, but it's a bit hit or miss. It really is. So I think VQ is going to take it. Jacob, who are you going with?
Yeah, I got to agree with a lot of what you said about VQ. And then you add in the fact that what we talked about, they're beginning to practice, and now they have more time under their belt. They're looking a little scary, and you can kind of see it. They were catching fire in that mid-split playoffs. On the other side of things, Noble 9-2 after the split, not the best performance during those playoffs. And to me, they almost remind me of a Rebel-styled roster to where they just have too many inconsistencies.
Sure.
During the split, I do think they were flipping that coin and they were getting heads a lot. That's why they were able to take a lot of those series, a lot of those exchanges. Obviously, they did work hard. They did be able to dismantle some of these teams, but I do think those inconsistencies will still be there. And with practice under VQ's belt, I think they're going to make very minimal mistakes in this matchup, and I do think they're going to take it. How close it is, I don't necessarily know, but I got to go with Vanquish.
All right, fair enough. VQ for 2. Chat, what are you going with, Noble or VQ? Are you giving the channel points over to? And I wouldn't be surprised if we went Noble. No, going VQ. So all 3 across the board once again. It seems as if great minds think alike, except for series number 1, where Rise ended up losing 2-0 to Rebel. Fair enough, though. I'll know better for next time. But I think we've all been identical all night, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm okay with that to start the season. I'm definitely okay. Win or lose, we're all getting drugged down or brought up together, you know?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, I'll wait for those. I'll wait for those the next close matches, week 2, day 3, day 4, something like that, to really maybe toss a wrench into the mix. Because right now, it seems like even though our predictions can go either way, we're 2-1 on the day. I do think it is going a little more in line to what the paper says. Not by much, but a little bit more.
All right. Well, let's see what's going to happen. I know some out there in chat still has the same adage of, vote differently than Taylor and you will win the prediction. Fair enough. Yeah, you can be a bully if all you want. Because it's worked traditionally. I've always been last place. And honestly, this season, or this split, I should say, or this phase 2 of split 2, with the title in your head, hey man, it might be a bit different of a story. Off the start though, Acells, good spacing, precision though, picks up Gearries as well as Reptilian. So both of them falling, and now that battle for B is going to be underway. And speaking of B, also on A as well, as VQ looks to lock in this in a way of domination, and it might be coming quickly.
I will say, luckily for them, they get the trade onto the home mill. Acells making sure he keeps the meat shield. He's going to try to body block, melee some players out, try to get the trip without domination. He's going to miss the first melee, but right into his teammate's shot he went. There goes the second one to come through. Body blocking once more. Nobody able to get the touch. Lava doesn't get a chance. And just like that, 55 seconds, Vanquish takes round number 1.
Man, Acells, the way he was walking up the stairs is kind of like me walking a mile, running a mile, man. Just nice and slow, steady. But hey, steady sometimes wins the race, okay? And at least that meat show was beneficial. So first round, quickly going over towards the way of VQ. But let's go back to our last series, right, between United and Elevate. Harbor was the second map, and it was trading off, for the first half at least, it was 2-2, right? So we've seen this time in and time out. One team takes an early victory, and then the other team answers back. I'll get concerned if we do see VQ take a 3-0 lead. Then I'll start to think maybe Noble's in trouble. But for right now, I think they're okay.
Every time I watch this map, that pistol up top, where Vanquish just put it, I like it less and less. And I never liked it to begin with, but I like it less and less. It does change the tide every now and again, but I think building up top and putting yourself where you're not necessarily going to be at a disadvantage, a bigger advantage, but Acells, man, starting off hot. Gets 2,
Wow.
gets 3 kills for
Jeez.
Vanquish, and looking like a little bit of deja vu to start this one off. Lava stuck stuck in no man's land, essentially, not able to push up. He can't necessarily fall back. He's gonna have to be the hero for his team if they're not able to fend off their home hill.
It looks like they might be able to fend off their home hill. I don't know, but Acells is just playing lights out. Fortunately, he will fall to the wayside, and that's going to give Noble an opportunity to stay alive but not thrive as of yet. Still a lot more work to be done. They are 3 strong and could push in onto Precision and Vital Sound, but I don't know, man. With the way Precision's playing, he might as well be 2 members all in his own package. I say that as soon as Precision ends up falling, of course, as the timing of casting normally goes. Gearries, though, around the corner is going to take down Vital Sound alongside that of Reptilian, so hey, Noble right back in it, but they still need some hills.
They're doing a good job of getting that up top position, which is crucial when you're trying to make a complete push around the map. So Hndles getting downed out into the spawn, trying to buy his team some time. But now they're going to get that neutral hill and try to take some of this score down. But I do think right now it is going to be out of reach when it comes to holding 2 hills uncontested. So Noble's going to have to switch up. They're going to have to go kills over hills here in just a few short moments. Acells is going to go down first. Precision meets the same fate. Vital's doing what he can, but no eliminations being picked up just yet until Acells finds that one on Lava. And it's somehow always Acells finding a way to stay alive, buying his team some time, and picking up those big eliminations.
Big eliminations indeed, and Nobles put themselves in a great spot to potentially win this. They do have the win condition after all, so it's going to be up to VQ to make some big boy moves. And Precision, obviously, I'm looking at him, weighing really heavily into him to be able to open up the door to a victory, but they're going to take their time, and time they do have, right? 45 seconds is almost an eternity when you talk about retaking control and making a push, so they do have a little bit of time. I don't want them to take too much, but ultimately they are set up quite well. This 3v3 on Stern is literally going to be the deciding factor.
Nice well-placed smoke for Acells. Been a difference maker in just a few short moments we've seen this map so far. Hndles goes down, chain revive being cleaned up. Acells able to get 1. Precision gets taken out, but the backtrack coming through finds the second one. But this score, somebody's trying to sneak by. That is Gearries. He's trying to create some distance, so everybody has to man up now on the team of Vanquish. Almost play it to perfection. The down's going to go through. He doesn't overextend. He doesn't rush that play, so there's still hope. But he is being capped up, but 2-1 towards the very end. Could be enough for Vanquish, but it gets reset on C. The player gets eliminated, and it looks like Noble is going to be able to hold on.
Yeah, Xysho did a great job winning that 1v1 against, I believe, Acells or Precision, who was over on Bravo. He wins that for added insurance, and that was enough because, of course, his teammates were also able to secure and win the fight on their home hill. So, well done from Xysho in that moment. And Xysho's a player, again, that has always impressed me on this Noble roster, and I expect a lot from him. So despite the heroics off the beginning, look, without question, Noble, Vanquish started off strong once again. Noble was able to answer back, and maybe VQ should have pumped the brakes, but who knows? It's hearsay. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, as Blaze likes to say. Let's head into round number 3.
I like the red shirt being placed down. They're continuing to build up on that side of the map, especially since the hill is still there, so that's going to be a big defensive weapon, and you can easily upgrade it to a shock and put the red shirt on the other side of the map as this map continues. But 3v3 still going down. Nobody wanted to utilize those side weapons that they put down. It's looking like the 4th of July here on Wench. Flashes going off left and right, but nobody pushing forward just yet. No inches given, except for over the top here, to where chunks, they don't come as often, but Vital goes down, and there it goes. The move being made by Noble. There goes an exchange and down for the kills. The kills are going in way of Noble. That's going to be 3 kills off that initial, which leaves Hndles by himself, and you see it in your mini map. There goes a change of targets. They're going to try to 2v1 Hndles down towards the low side while attacking the home hill at the same time to go for a triple cap domination.
And I've always said this, Noble is a great defensive team. We know this. We called them the Shield at one point. They are a scary bunch when they get a solid start because then they can play the game they want. But this was all-out aggression, all offense from start to finish. Noble take this round in 55 seconds, and that was one of the most definitive rounds we have seen from them yet. And that encourages me for their performance in the future rounds that we're going to be seeing very shortly. I don't know, VQ might be slowing down, Jacob.
They definitely are, but you can see they're already getting ready to upgrade that one more time to the shock grenade. And already winning some of these exchanges downloads towards Winch. You put the shock grenade up top towards Stern. If you win the Winch, there's nobody that's going to be able to stay up top to try to hold that ground. So you're basically giving up the entire boat side of the map if that does occur. Excuse me, but Now with the retro on the side of Vanquish, I gotta think there's gonna be some sort of contestation up top, or at least a little bit if they grab it. But no, neither team wanted to grab that yet again. So we're gonna see deja vu when it comes to this initial.
Might be deja vu indeed. I don't know. Deja vu would be Noble would win it given the fact that they won it last time, but I don't know. VQ now starting to learn from their mistakes, and they've got Noble on the run. We've seen this time in and time out, and it hasn't ended up well for the Noble boys at all, and it might not be the case here. Shock's going to be down low, and I think Jacob, VQ just locked it in. Will it beat the 55 from last round, though? It might. As unfortunately, Lava doesn't get that touch. 38 seconds. That's the way to end the first half.
Yep. And this would be an opportunity here for Noble. If you're going to put that big weapon down, this is the round, because you would neutralize the disadvantage you would normally be at. You're not going to give yourself necessarily an advantage in the fight, but you won't be down a weapon placement. You see, it's going to be match shock on each side, but instead of putting that big weapon down, Noble, this is tied to a piece. Nobody wanted to make that big play. Nobody wanted to make a mistake and get a little antsy when it comes to their weapon placement, because once it's down, it's down. You can't take it back.
No, you can't, unfortunately. And you make a mistake, you make a mistake. You're not happy with it. Hey, it is what it is. You better work through it. Shocks, nobody's going to pick them up. They
That's
know.
so interesting.
But you've even said it before, right? You understand that 3v3 fight really dictates the pace of the map, and you don't need a shock if you're ending the rounds in 38 seconds, which Noble might be able to do.
Yeah, but if you're a team like Vanquish, man, you got to figure out a way to switch up the strat. You get to throw the shock at the winch, take up top stern, vice versa, but shock going down for Vital. The Hill's not even there. He's just trying to buy time for his team, but they're going to leave him there so that it's actually going to not work the way he wanted it. His death is going to be staggered. You see Hndles and the rest of his team trying to extend all the way over to the other side of the map, try to go home hill to home hill, but they're going to have two players set up defensively, plus Xysho there on towards that winch to try to fire down to Vanquish. They're going to have to wait for reinforcements, wait for these players to get in position, and put three players up trod, try to overtake the high ground, but on this half, it is a hill as well. They're going to get rewarded double.
And VQ, they're going to really push this, but I mean, the success rate of pushing up that ramp is just so low. I swear to you, Noble is going to have a big advantage. The only thing, though, is Acells does have that shock, and it's going to be placed. That's going to force Reptilian in position. He's still going to be able to Lancer, but isn't going to have as much impact on the other side of ramp. But either way, though, man, maybe not. I take it all back. He's going to be able to take down one player, of course, with the help of his other. Finishes off Precision. Acells might be a next victim. He's weak and heat drop. So despite the shock isolating him in that corner, he still had a huge impact in stopping that push from VQ.
For a second there, that looked like they were forming a conga line before they were getting taken out by Noble. The way they were just trying to push across. Fortunately, Noble, man, they're beginning to heat up, and better late than never, because the second portion of the matchup, that's when you begin to put a fluster on the side of VQ. You begin to force them to make moves. You see Vital, he's trying to get some shots on that player that might be standing there, but he's actually not positioned there. So he has to find a way to push up. Both players going down. Vital forced to rethink and change his position. And Hndles goes down as well. Vital looking like Finding Nemo, trying to find his way back home.
Vital Sam can't find his way home. He just can't do it at this point. I mean, Reptilian has been the playmaker 2 times in a row. VQ has tried over, well, at least for the past 2 times. I shouldn't say over and over again, but 2 times in a row, they tried to push up that ramp only to be met by the Lancer of Reptilian. You mentioned forming a Congo line. Fair enough. They did it twice, but unfortunately, I don't think they were having too good of a time, and nor are they really good dancers, because both times they ended up losing their life. First, it was 3 of them. The second time, it was 2 of them. But the end result was Reptilian once again just being such a dominant force, holding the line, doing exactly what he needed to do. So it's something VQ is going to have to definitely work around. One of the remedies to stopping that push or stopping Reptilian in his tracks is to just win the fight on Witch, win the fight for E, set up yourself, and then obviously put Noble in a position where they have to push up.
And now you see the switching of strategy going through for Vanquish finally, as Vital's going to try to grab that shock grenade, giving up winch. You see the players going towards the top half of the map, even Vital going up there. And Precision has to be careful here, not bite up more you could chew. Reinforcements are there. Xysho being forced back. Gearries is here to try to help him, but just a second too late. That's going to be 2 kills being cleaned up for VQ. Slowing things down, not taking that initial fight has worked out for them as they continue to go ahead and funnel their players over over, taking out Lava, triple cap domination sounding off. Nobody is going to be able to get the touch on the side of Noble. We're going to be tied up here 3 rounds apiece, which kind of puts the pressure right back on over to Noble.
It does.
You continue doing those same strategies, or do you prepare for something different? Because VQ already switched things up.
This is just this is great. You know, this is what I wanted to see, I think, all night throughout our series. We've only had we've had 2 round 9s, one respectively for EU versus Elevate, the other one from Rise versus Rebel, and we might have the chance to get one here. But as you mentioned, though, you're right, it does put a lot of pressure on Noble. Now they have to answer back. That work, that round that they just won, now out to the wayside. And one way that Noble wants to change things up is they're going to place a Torque Bow on Stern. Fair enough. The Winch fight and the Stern fight has been pretty back and forth, right? We've seen very quick rounds from both ends of Noble as well as for VQ. So this is anybody's ballgame, and that Torque Bow is going to be incredibly valuable.
Now you see the different strategies yet again. All 4 players' goals are to be up top. Both, I do believe that was Vital and Lava stopping for those shock grenades. Gotta think they're already in use. First blood going on over towards Noble. A 3-3 score line, and they actually get a second elimination and a 3rd player down as well. Vital doing everything he can to stay alive, but if he falls, certainly should Vanquish in this round. You see players already getting onto the home mill. Both the Reptile and Gearries wasting no time. Triple cap domination sounding off, and Precision getting eliminated. Now it's Noble on map point. Step after step, round after round, always being in control, paying off.
Well, they absolutely answered back. My goodness. Well done from Noble. Reptilian having a great game. 12 and 12, 6 deaths to his name. And what is the answer, Jacob, at this point? You just lost a quick round, and you really didn't even have time to fight for the Torque Bow. By the time you did, you lose your life and you were gone. So VQ, what is their response?
I almost would love to have seen them throw their lock out right here, but save it for next round. All your eggs in one basket.
Beyond your station.
Vanquish need this one to stay alive. Instin's being upgraded towards the bottom, but just like the round prior, we got a 4-man battle royal going down with the Winston Stern.
Absolutely do. We can see that. Oh, wow. I mean, this is really going to dictate the round, and it seems like VQ, they love this spawn, and they've been making the most of it. Reptilian, though, gets a trade. That's going to be positive. Putting Xysho in a good spot, unfortunately, can't make it happen. Now Lava, he's ultimately going to end up dropping, but because that fight was elongated, VQ isn't going to be able to push up to F just yet, but they have all the materials in hand to be able to make the plays, and Vital Sam is going to be instrumental with that Torque Bow.
Just trying to get the information along with the rest of his team, pop out some Torque Bows before the push comes through, and then possibly try to get 1 or 2 before back rolling, switching to his pistol, and using some teamwork to try to solidify the positioning, try to pick up any kills from there. But first Torque Bow, kind of being a waste right there. Rightfully so, just trying to scare some people who are rotating around. Smoke grenade going out. This would be the opportune time to push if you're Noble. Don't allow that one to dissipate. Splash damage coming through from Vital. Lava not able to push up yet, but you see 3 players from each team gearing up for this retake to come through. Reptile is going to be spotted out. No sneaky plays. We got a good old-fashioned retake from Noble. A good old-fashioned defensive opportunity for Vanquish.
I like this angle. Does it hit Lava? It doesn't. Still 2 more bolts to his name. Now, you know what? Normally, I'm against using it the way that he's using it, but VQ has netted a decent lead because of it, and Noble hasn't felt confident to push up. Now they are doing it, but if VQ can stop this attempt, we're surely going to be seeing round 9, but every Torque Bow doesn't connect. But even so, though, it forces Noble out of positioning and right into VQ's hands, who ultimately end up getting the eliminations to their name. And again, with VQ having such a commanding lead, round 9 is looming around the corner.
Players in front of Xysho gets a ton of damage on 1, but the longer he takes here in this 1v2 situation, I know it's a 1v2 situation, but the harder this game's going to be. Triple cap domination sounding off right behind him. He's not going to have an opportunity, but Reptile is, but the score is so far out of reach. You have to rub a magic lamp or use one of their witches to be in 2 places at once. Lava gets taken out, and Vanquish hold on to this round and force a round number 9. And this is where you got to think, you got to predict. Both of these teams are going to utilize their locks at this point.
Yeah, of course.
It's a matter of where. Do you lock down the shock? Do you lock down what could be the Ensign on the other side of the map? I think you got to go for shocks if you're Noble. You're winning the fights without them.
You really were. I mean, this is the thing. The Shocks haven't really. I mean, they have played an impact to a certain degree, but not really. It's just been that major headbutt at Winch. Like, that's been the deciding factor every single round. You know, the utility has been great, but has it really made a difference? Not so much. It's just kind of been these quick, fast-paced style rounds. Whoever wins the initial wins the round. That's just how it works, at least right now between VQ and Noble. This is a big win for Noble. I can't stress it enough. To take map number 1, your map pick, you know coming up next is going to be Vascar. VQ has traditionally been a phenomenal Vascar team, but that's not a good start. Reptilian loses light precision, now angling himself onto Gearries. Xysho now is going to be up top. He's about to be isolated. He's now going to drop down. Lava's going to get the pickup. Hndles going to be on just on the other side. Lava tries to get the, or Xysho tries to get the pickup on the torque, but he's going to lose his life, and Reptilian is the last one alive. He's looking at a domination, forced to engage on precision.
Precision wasted no time getting that down and overextending across the map, trusting his teammates, rightfully so, as Vanquish in our round number 9 edge out Noble 5-4.
Man, good job for them. You know what's funny is, like, they were struggling on that side of the map, that spawn specifically. They were winning the other spawn, I think 100% of the time. Well, I think there was one time they slipped up, but they were losing that other spawn, and then they choose to finally win it on round 9. So well done from the boys of VQ, and a big win again because we have Vascar coming up next, and I think the chances for VQ to win on Vascar just went up exponentially. Teamwork is looking solid, and I think they're going to be in good hands. So that's a big loss for Noble, but without question, though, they look pretty solid, Jacob, for a lot of those fights and engagements. When they were going head-to-head, we talk about their offensive work typically, you know, is lacking. I say lacking respectfully. They're still one of the top-level teams, clearly finishing off first place in Phase 1, but for the most part, man, they were really taking it to the slay-heavy team of VQ.
No, they definitely were, but I talked about it reminding me of Rebel, those inconsistencies when it's a 50-50 scenario. Last season, they were able to come out on top, but this season, man, VQ gaining momentum late, and it was these early battles with 4 players going on over. They were able to take control of the up top. They were able to use their stun. You saw Acells was grabbing it round after round, and that was the biggest switch up for VQ. You talked about that winch fight kind of looking like the 4th of July, a headbutt war of sorts to go ahead and gain the upper hand. But as soon as VQ basically backed off of that fight, showed that they have different styles of gameplay, they have different strategies, they have depth, that kept Noble guessing. And then as soon as those later rounds did happen, round number 9, round number 8, VQ went back towards that winch. They went back to fight it because Noble was left guessing.
Precision, so instrumental in this victory. I know his stats had to be through the roof, man. He was just playing so incredibly well. Close round 9, but what are Noble's chances heading into Vascar? Because for me, I'm looking at VQ and thinking, man, this could be a lock for them.
I thought 27 rounds was definitely going to be a possibility here. And I don't think I'm necessarily wrong here, even though I did predict Vanquish to win this series. That first map did show it's not over to the Fat Lady Sings, and Noble was in it the entire time. And even in the beginning portions where the aggression did go down, gaining the early momentum, gaining those early leads, it was Noble. It's just later on, I think they were up maybe 3-1 at one point, maybe 2-1. They were able to kind of chain that momentum. Like I said, as soon as the strategy changed for Vanquish, so did the entire way the map was played up until I think the last 2 rounds where they went back towards that fight they were had in the beginning.
Well, fair enough, man. It's going to be happening quick. Vascar is going to be underway shortly, and it is going to be an interesting take for Noble, you know, to lose their map, but then to win their opponent's map, right? That would be interesting to send it to game 3, and I know there's a lot of supporters out there for Noble to take this victory, but it's not going to be easy by any means. VQ obviously was the fan favorite, and because of that, well, I think they're looking to make good on that. Asylum being map number 3, though. Let's just theoretically say Noble does win on Vascar, right? We head into Asylum. Who do you think has the leg up as we head into map 3? If we head into map 3, I should say.
I think it depends on how this one kind of plays out. Even though we have seen teams kind of shrug off a loss, and whether it's 5-0, 5-2, they have answered back. But man, these two teams very similar play styles, especially on a map like Asylum that kind of is very balanced down the end. It could come down to a full aggressive fight on the second half, but we also seen players try to sneak down low, make those plays, try to overextend. So if it does come down to Asylum, I got to think just off the top of my head, it goes over towards Vanquish. But like I said, I need to see the second map, figure out if Noble is able to build some momentum as individuals, build it as a team, and then maybe we'll go from there. But right now, it's going to be Noble with all the pressure on him to answer back. Luckily, I will say the silver lining, round number 9. So it wasn't a blowover. It wasn't a breeze for Vanquish. So you just tighten up those little mistakes and try to figure out a way to capitalize on Vanquishes a little bit more.
Absolutely. And find an answer for Precision, right? Who had those moments where he was just popping off. And that worries me as we do head into Vascar, right? You're going to have those big team fights once again, much like we had on Winch. Granted, much more open space, but the fights will still happen. And one good thing, though, and you mentioned, and I love that you said, the silver lining is the fact that it wasn't a blowout. It by no means wasn't. It went to round 9. And for the most part, that Winch fight was pretty back and forth, And those Vascar fights, I think, are going to be pretty much the same way, back and forth. Big 3v3s, maybe even 2v2s most likely, as they do split off and kind of, break away. But for the most part, though, I think it is going to be another heads-up battle that could, in fact, go the distance. I called 27 rounds. It might be. We already have one round 9. Now we need yet another round 9 in order to even get close to that point. But, hey, it is what it is, chat. Are you still feeling confident with your picks? Do you think Noble has it within them to come back? Or do you think VQ is still going to end up ahead? It is day 1 of Split 2 Phase 2. So I know both teams right now are biting, chomping at the bit, right, to get the first victory.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. And like Vanquish, man, after the way they came back too, they're going to start this match with a little bit of momentum. They're going to be able to make those first move where I think they should be the team that makes the first move based off of what we last saw. But Noble, man, you've seen it from E United to where on a map like Foundation, they wasted no time getting into the mix. They wasted no time as the Locust team to really throw a wrench into the gear and catch the other team off guard. It's not the same map. It's not going to be as easy to go ahead and do that, but I want to see them convincingly play into their strategy. Send 3 players over and push forward. Even if there's 3 players defend, you have to be ready for that to happen. Not every single rotation you're going to have the advantage, and there's going to be those moments where, heck, you might even have to push into a 3v4 to try to keep the game going in your favor. So I need to see Noble convincingly gain the upper hand here. Gain it in eliminations early on. Like I said, lancer these players out, use your teamwork, down them out, whatever you have to do. You can't let this one be a 55-second round for VQ.
Definitely not, and hopefully not. With it being Vascar, the round surely should extend forward. One thing about Noble is I think objectively, I think they'll be okay, At least for me, I think Noble is going to be a great objective team here. VQ is going to be, more of a just in-your-face kind of roster, right, to just kind of push those fights, push those engagements. And hopefully VQ is counting the numbers, because I do expect Noble to maybe slip one through the cracks, That absolutely could be one of those things, man. Speaking of which, though, the map is going to be loading up. We're going to be getting underway very shortly, and this potentially could be the final map of the night. But you guys have been beautiful, and we appreciate all of you guys being out there earning those skins. I know what skin you want. Come on, Jacob, speaking of which, are you earning your skins? Because I already know you definitely want them.
And I always have a monitor over here tabbed up. I'm getting my point. I don't know about y'all. I'm getting my skins. Even if I don't use the skin, I have to have the skin. It's called exclusive for a reason. I want to be a part of that exclusive skin club.
Exclusive skin collection. What is there a skin in Gears 5 like that would be the rarest skin? I don't know.
I don't particularly know. We're gonna have to wait for
ask Colin the historian.
Yeah, get on here. Where are you at in chat, Colin? What's the rare skins? I know it's got to be some of those heroic skins mainly, simply because they cost the most, but I can't be too sure.
All right, fair enough. Well, hopefully Colin does give us an answer. I'm sure he knows, but underway. Looks as if Noble off to another great start. They're going to manage to get that 2-1 and not making the fight easy for Acells or Hndles. We're looking to get the break here. Already one was dropped off, but Xysho forced the dip out, just about missteps and gets dropped himself. That would have put Lava in a bad spot. Would have been forced to go through the Lancer fire himself, but now as Noble is set up defensively, VQ has to go ahead and break forward. The smoke is down. Vitalsem, does he go in? Yes, he does.
It's interesting to see how this one went down. Noble early on gets that neutral capture, trading off eliminations. Vital's going to have the shot lead for now, but be careful where you're pushing. Reptile, man, will make you pay in a moment's notice. Shots from up top. I don't know if that's Xysho. I don't know if that's Lava, but I think that really saved some lives in this fight right here, because it made it where Vital had to second guess. He had to hesitate, think about his move, and this fight is going to continue. EQ being teared off of their own home mill on that side of the map for a moment before it being answered back, and you see the overextension coming through. I don't even know how that one slipped by. Precision getting that elimination on Reptile, so what could have been a triple cap domination for Noble if they won that exchange, it's going to be a round prolonged, but a great sight for Noble nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now they've netted themselves a decent lead, even though it got a little bit exciting for VQ. They still trail behind, and they've got to find a way to just break onto these hills. Now, this is a good start, though. 3v2. That's going to force Xysho and Reptilian back, who are looking at a wall of members, and VQ's not going to waste any time. They don't have time to waste. They just need to get the break, but as we know, it's always a push and pull. It's always a rotational heavy map. Acells now is going to be in a 1v2, and he just about had a great start. Almost brought it down to a 1v1, but can't get that final shot on Lava. And again, VQ forced to rotate around, but they do get the 2-1. They do get the 2-1, but does it flip the win condition? I think it does, and yes, it does, but just barely.
That's where it's going to come down to Vanquish. Even though they trail and it's been the games of rotation, there's going to come a moment in time, and I think this is going to be that point in time where they're going to have to successfully defend if that 3-man push does come through first. And it's actually going to be simultaneous. The 3v2 on one side of the map, 2v1 on the other. Hndles finding elimination, but it's going to be Reptile getting that decap to come through to try to keep the point gain on the side of Noble. Not without sacrifice, though, as Acells is going to be the playmaker getting that neutral. Precision knows that win condition is not going to go back on over to their side, so he tried to hold his ground, but immediately taken out by Reptile. And Reptile's just trying to buy some time. Overextend on over so that players have to backtrack to go ahead and get that elimination. Meanwhile, that's like basically a 3v1 on the other side of the map, and they don't have a ton of time to keep this one going as the win condition slowly coming to a close. 15 seconds is all that's left.
Player 7, I mean, what is he going to do? He's looking at a wall of members, but there's still, I think there's still barely enough time. These players from VQ, though, they need to get in, and Precision's going to drop off, and the defensive stand for Noble seems to pay off, and the GOG team will win it. Noble leads 1-0, but that was another close one. Much like Harbor, man, we really might be going the distance if the teams keep at it like this.
That's why I always talk about you can't get over aggressive. You can't get ahead of yourself just because you kind of wipe the teams. You needed to pay attention to when each and every death happens, because if you're pushing forward by yourself and that player spawns up that you didn't necessarily account for because you might have made the mistake to think they were all eliminated together, that's why communication has to be on point. And that's where I talk about the coaches. Maybe the coaches could be timing 12 seconds every single time each one of these players die, because rotating through the spawn on Vascar could be a double-edged sword. It can definitely cost you a big play opportunity.
All right, big plays from Noble. Let's see if they can win round number 2, take a decent lead. Of course, VQ is going to have the favorable spawn, but they don't get the quick 2-1 like Noble did in the last round. They're going to have to fight for it. Precision's going to be locked up on tank. It's going to be tough, right? Because Reptilian's going to have the cross. Gearries, of course, is going to be up close and personal, ready to get that chunk as soon as Reptilian hits that Lancer fire. Of course, though, on the other side for VQ, Precision is going to have Vital Sound, so it's going to be a bit of a standoff, and that forces the engagement onto Charlie, and the first blood goes to the way of VQ. Lava ends up dropping Xysho full red. He's going to be pressured up, and he's going to drop off. This is going to put Noble now into action, but it might not go very well. Reptilian needs to pick up this 1v2. He's going to manage to take down one, but can't get the second, and a domination is coming in.
I was going to be able to get into the hill, not going to be able to get the touch, as Vanquish answer that one back with a round of their own. And this is where I say a map like this, you almost got to play into those rotations. And honestly, I was looking at that map and I saw it was Acells and Hndles on the other side of the map, even though they might not statistically be leading the leaderboards. You can kind of see it in their gameplay. They are playing confident. They are playing aggressive. And that's what I want to see Vanquish kind of play into if this situation does arise. Allow Hndles, allow Acells to be able to kind of split apart from the rest of the team, take 2v2s on the other side of the map, or lead the pushes for your team in a 3v3 or 4v4 when it does break down.
And Noble had great success on this half, or excuse me, on this spawn. And if they can do it again, right, they'll keep things close. But it's always, if VQ can win this side, man, they could be in a great spot. But Noble is not holding back. This is probably the most aggressive I have seen them yet. And look at them pushing Vital Sem to the point where he's already in his spawn full red. But you're not going to do anything there. Gearries is going to be able to out-angle you. That was a great push from Noble.
Fortunately, this is what I talked. It's literally what I just said. You have to be careful running through that spawn. You get a big elimination on Vital, but it's neutralized. It actually goes on over towards VQ for just a few seconds, not too much, but just a few seconds, and easily turn the tide in almost every fight. As the Reptile, man, he's just playing so aggressive. He finds the down on Precision, which is going to be a huge difference maker to see him going ahead and trying to attack that hill on the other side of the map with Xysho and Lava going for the triple cap domination on the home hill. A flash is going to buy this some time. No hill being captured yet. Noble's actually actually going to back off. I talked about buying off more than you can chew. It's these moments here that you get over aggressive. You try to stay, you try to triple cap dominate, you lose one, lose two players, and then the tables have turned. That's what Vanquish was trying to do, turn the tides on over to them. But who's that running away? Xysho putting his Nikes on, just runs all the way back to spawn to where Lava can help him.
Well, he's going to also be joined, like you mentioned, from Lava, and it will be a 2v2. Great shot. On to one. Precision falls in the hands of Gearries, and that break for Noble is in, and Charlie is locked in place. Well done. Hndles down in tough spot. Full red. He's going to drop off, and now the pressure is very real as Acells and Vital Sam are going to be in a tough spot, looking at members from Noble kind of all around them.
Michael Reptile's doing here. Funneling back around, trying to get that elimination, but even better precision, realizing, hey, if I go touch my home mill, it's a 1v1, it's a 50-50. I don't necessarily have an advantage. If I go to the other side of the map, though, I get a free hill, and I prolong this game. Yeah, I don't really turn the tides in terms of the lead, but keeping my team alive, giving my team opportunities to get back into this one is exactly what you need. So if this one does go in way of Vanquish, you got to put it on the shoulders of Precision, and that's going to be the first step. He's going to throw his flash grenade, try to get as much of this position as possible on Noble's side of the map. No eliminations for Noble happen just yet. They're going to be able to freely do it, but big retro shots, plenty of downs, filling up the kill feed, and that is going to be it. Noble holding on to both of these two hills and winning the round and going up 2-1 over Vanquish.
And again, I talk about it, the first team to win that offside, the one that's the less desirable spawn, I should say, is the team that's going to end up ahead. And, for Noble, they find themselves blessed. They do find themselves on a good spawn in round 1. And if they continue this way, they should take the victory, especially if it goes to round 9. And but obviously, now Noble's going to be in the spot VQ was just in. If they can win that checkpoint spawn, they could actually have the lead here and a very real chance to send it to map number 3. So these rounds are very important. And I got to say, Noble is looking pretty solid. They're winning some big fights. Gearries is playing very well, Xysho including. So we'll see if they can continue this momentum. Different strategies, though. Retro on one end, plus the Bull Talk, as well as VQ decides to go with the Shock. I like the Retro, though. And Reptilian's going to have that in his hands. And for this fight on B, that's going to be huge.
I like the Retro as well, especially with how fast this game has been moving. Players can easily go around, go through the Shock if they have that revive there to back them up. The statue, though, or I should say the tank, is going to slow down just a little bit because I do believe that is the advantageous side for Vanquish. But on this side of the map, nobody really wanted to make a move. Acells has the difference maker in that Shock grenade. He's going to switch places, and that's the angle. That's going to be an important angle, making it through the window, trying to bounce it off something to go ahead and get that Lava at a position with the Shock.
There it is. Out, looking to thread the needle. Does it connect onto both? Does it even split them a little bit? Xysho, yeah, he's out of positioning, as you just mentioned, but you got to capitalize, and that's going to be one dropping down, but Lava looking to answer back. He managed to take that one, tries to go for the second, hits a brick, but not the full house, and Acells will win that engagement. Gearries now in a tough spot. Boom! And he gets chunked in the end, despite it. Another great shot, and the domination is coming in, and Xysho's just going to be a hair away, and he's not going to get it. And again, trading off on that spawn, like I mentioned. It looks like we're going into the second half all tied up.
And Noble's really just putting everything on the line in a lot of these situations to where they're gaining the upper hand. They're just getting aggressive. That's why I want to see them really flip that switch. I kind of said it at Harbor, that winch fight was suited because it doesn't give a lot of time to think. It doesn't give a lot of strategy. It's kind of in your face. You throw a smoke, throw a flash, you get loose with the shotgun. I want to see that kind of develop here, but you can't do too much. There's not too many places that can kind of dominate with aggression like that, because E-fight, tank fight, there's a lot of Lancer play goes down, especially with a well-played shot grenade. So I'm not exactly sure what Noble has to do to really turn this into an all-out aggressive map.
All right, well, VQ, again, this is going to be a side that they definitely want to take, and they do have the 2-1. Noble looking to pressure back those two players, 2 and 4, Xysho and Lava. Looking to engage maybe on the 3 players from D. Of course, they'll wait for Reptilian to join them, and they're going to go ahead and go for an all-out attempt to retake it. But this is a big hill to climb. Lava's going to have to hit some nice Bull Talk shots to keep some of these members of VQ keep their head down, but that Shock is definitely going to help. And it looks like it's going to force out Hndles. Shock is thrown. Doesn't. Oh, no, it hit the roof. That's going to be a misplace and actually blocks the line of sight for Noble.
He got it towards the back end. That was a Vanquish return fire. He shot that back corner so that these players on that right side of the cover cannot get out safely. Big trade coming through between Xysho and Acells, and Lava's going to get the last lap in that exchange. Gearries, he wants to win this one. He's going to go ahead and decap that come through, and you can see Lava, he's not overstaying his welcome, realizing these players that just got eliminated, they're going to be off of respawn, so no sneakiness coming out from Noble just yet. They're just playing straight to the point, getting these hills, trying to get these points to come back, but VQ realizing there's going to be a mismatch down here, getting the decap first. Cells go down, chain revive popping off, Reptile landing some crucial shots, brick by brick. It does look like Noble here is going to get the other hand, and the elimination coming through. Hndles gets taken out as well. So Noble in the late portion of this one, they have some coming back to do, but they're in the driver's seat to come back for sure.
Yeah, 100%. They put themselves in a winning spot, so let's see if they can capitalize on this and continue to hold on, at least close out that 30-point deficit. It's going to go quickly. So VQ's got a lot of work ahead of them, and they're going to have to make it happen pretty soon, you would have to say. They're going to go ahead and commit 3 over towards E. It's going to be tough, though, because you have that player who's going to be on the overhang. Xysho is going to be able to lance her down and not make the life easy for these VQ boys, but smokes are going to be thrown out on both sides. So I don't think any marks also came through either. So Reptilian is going to push through a bit of a misroll. He's going to drop off, and VQ is starting to retake control. Actually, they're doing a really good job retaking control. Not only do they win the E fight, but also the D fight, and player 2 is about to be in trouble.
I don't know if he knows. I was about to say, somebody's coming at his backside. Hndles needs to be careful, but you look at that. With 2 hills under their control for Vanquish, they realize these players are going to spawn up. They're going to have to make a split push at the same time. Make it hard as possible. Make them fight for every single inch on the map. The decap is simply not going to be enough, but Acells landing some crucial shots. 2 downs coming through. Ooh. Reptile finds the elimination. That's going to be a double. This last second round, is anybody going to be able to touch the hill? Just 1 second left. Nobody is going to get that opportunity, and Vanquish is going to be able to hold on defensively to this round and go up 3-2, and they're going to be the first team to chain together 2 consecutive rounds on this map.
And again, I talk about how critical that is. And man, at this point, VQ has put themselves in a great spot to win. And they're going to be transferring back over now to Arrival Spawn, which theoretically should be a better spawn for them. So the Retro and Shock is going to be there. And for Noble, they're going to go ahead and answer back themselves with the Retro and Shock too. So it's going to be even on both ends. Fair enough. Now we got a lot of utility to play with. We also have the Retro for the firepower. But again, VQ taking that last round, Jacob, for me speaks volumes, and to put themselves in a great spot for Precision 12-1. Yeah, he's got a couple of deaths to his name, but he's definitely continuing to play just as well as he did on Harbor.
Right, you can kind of see Vital spotting out the information. And he's going to be a big part of directing these troops. Probably got a spot on the player as well. You kind of see it's kind of standard 2v2 going out to kind of start off this round. On the initial, though, Noble, they want to get this point lead, forcing Vanquish to make some sort of a move, forcing them to make a play. Lots of retro fire going out. Chain revive coming through, and they're going to live to tell the tale once more. So nobody on the bottom half of the map for either team really making a play. So this one's going to come down to this neutral. Hndles goes down early. Crossfire going out. Lots of damage being shed out. Well-placed flash coming through to try to stop Lava from pushing up, but the damage is being done. Hndles forced back. Both of these players actually forced back. Both of them are full red, and Reptile doesn't want to let these ones go for free. There might be a moment in time which they go ahead and retreat, but damage being answered back. Hndles in a good position. He needs to find a way to get that last bit of damage on Reptile, but instead he chooses to back up, giving away this position on over towards Noble. And with a well-placed flash, they're going to go ahead and continue to push the players of Vanquish back. And now the score is doubled up. Noble sitting in the driver's seat, basically the carpool lane, as they cruise to a victory in this line.
Oh, great hold 2 on D. Well-placed shot. That's going to make things awkward for VQ. And I want to shout out Reptile. Now, I know he had the help from Lava in that spot, but, you know, I mentioned Reptile and his ability to be able to lance her out in Harbor. Remember whenever VQ starts to make that Congo line, that was because Reptile was doing such a great job lancering out. And we're seeing him do much the same thing in that engagement with Lava, or in conjunction with Lava, right? To push those VQ boys back. He has been doing so well with his secondaries, and I can't discredit that enough. That is a huge portion as to why these fights have been very awkward for VQ. They want to push in, they want to go shotgun to shotgun, but they're not getting that opportunity because the likes likes of Reptile is doing a great job snubbing out and lancering out to the point where VQ can't feel comfortable pushing up, because if they do, they're within chunk range. So well done from the side of Reptile and Co. for just that team fire and just Lancer fire in general. I'm serious, man. That has been a huge impact for this Noble roster.
It's working out for them too. They win that last round, but take note, Retros are no longer on the map. That's going to allow for some players to stay alive a little bit longer, sneak through, and try to get these flanks to come through and see Vital already becoming a target. Big damage being put out. Reptile is going to find that elimination, and he's going to try to leave him down. Needs to be careful, though, because 2 players are positioned for VQ, ready to defensively stop it. Shot grenade going out. Oh my God. I learned something new almost every time I'm watching the Pro League right now.
Especially going back to that foundation one where, who was it? Was it Powers who was able to just slip through the shock as well as the flames? Weird stuff, man, especially with that spacing. And, well, that's going to benefit VQ, absolutely. This is a big round. We're tied up 3-3. Whoever takes this puts themselves at round number 4 for VQ. They could be at map point, series point very shortly, and they are looking to be well on that way, going in for the domination, and that leads this F-Hill for a big 3v3 battle.
Noble has to push in. Triple cap domination is going to be against the multiple players going down, getting cleaned up, getting eliminated. Reptile has to go big. He needs a miracle. He needs a squad wipe, and he doesn't even get a touch. You talk about map point. Vanquish go up 4-3 are on series point here.
Series point. That is a powerful statement. They have the win in their hands. Now they just have to lock in that final round. Precision continues to improve his stats. Well done from him. And now we need an answer from Noble. Is what is going to be VQ's move? Do we disable the shock? That would be a fair play, and that's exactly what we do. Now, Noble doesn't have to use their disable, but looks as if they're going to go ahead and use it as well to better their chances for round 9. That makes round 9, if we do get to that point, we're going to have an all-out war, battle of attrition with all the utility at hand. So let's see how this round plays out for Noble. They've got to answer back. This is a must-win round.
You already see off of your map right here. It's going to be very similar strats than what we've been seeing so far. A 2-2 go down. Noble does have that lower positioning, and we've seen them go for an early cap to try to create separation already, but now that VQ is on series point, not just map point, but series point, they want to minimize their mistakes, which means those risks, they might minimize the risk that they're taking as well, but they need to be careful not to change up their strategy, what they practiced up until this point. Big damage being fired out. Noble doing what they can to try to take as much positioning as possible. Reptile does have those instants. I wonder if that mark was out just in time for them to see it was him, but wow, over the top. That was very risky from VQ. Now that they don't have that instant, which kind of gives the upper hand over towards Noble, and Reptile can kind of play around with the defense, figure out where he wants to try to utilize this, because even if he doesn't get a kill, he can use it to try to get that positioning where Vital is at.
Tension is real. No team wants to really, well, man, VQ push. So this is the thing. Now we're in that situation I was talking about. Reptile has been so good with the secondary fire. I think he's going to go ahead and push up on this, but VQ can't do anything. They push up. Their only opportunity is to go in for it. But again, Reptile is there with the Lancer fire and the focus fire. And at this point, I haven't seen VQ win this engagement yet. That's my biggest worry.
Yeah, and if you look on the other side of the map, Xysho has the instance for his team. He is actually looking like it's going to get capped by Vanquish here. They found a way to get inside the hill. They didn't get the full cap just yet because they need to be careful. Taking too much damage, opening yourself up for a push as Reptile trying to find something to go through, but he gets caught out, downed out. Chain revives coming through for VQ. They're going to get that fresh slate of health as Lava's going to be forced to rotate, forced to readjust. And with 2 hills going over to Vanquish on series point, that's not looking good for Noble. And all might come to an end here. And that early player I was looking at with those instances, Xysho throws him out, doesn't connect with anything, but a big kill from Reptiles. He's pushing back the players of Vanquish.
Vital Sam looking to engage on him, take him down before he gets that decap, and the Lancer fire is there. Can he dance around, though? Not just yet. He's going to get, well, he will get picked back up, fair enough. And he does get the decap. Now Vital Sam is looking at a 1v2. All he has to do is maintain his life. No, and he doesn't. Player 9 was coming for the help, but, oh, and he loses his life, too. That hurts. Noble now takes the 2-1. And more importantly, they've got the manpower currently, plus the win condition. Can they force a round 9? I mean, they're hanging on a knife's edge, and Acells will take the lava. He was on his final down.
his instants are right there on his right. Does Acells know instants are grabbable? And they're safely grabbable as well. Maybe he just doesn't see it. Trying to push through, wants to get this elimination. That elimination is going to be found, and he continues to push forward. You can see it on the minimap. He doesn't backtrack to grab those instants. That would have been an incredible play if he was able to take note of that, as Lava spawns back up on the other side of the map. He's going to be left basically by himself on the home hill physically for just a few short moments. Reptile spawning in. Vanquish, they need this last second push. The win condition is not theirs. Noble trying to force a round number 9. Would be round number 18 in this series. Acells landing some shots. Unable to get Togo until then. He lands it. He needs to start getting some points for his team. They already got E. They're going to get D in their hands. And it's going to be up to Xysho and Gearries to try to get the decaps to come through. Gearries gets shut down. And so does Noble, as Vanquish edge out to victory 2-0.
Well done from VQ. Noble had the upper hand for at least, I would say, the first half. Again, they had that favorable spawn, but VQ was able to slowly but surely answer back. And I love maps like this, man, where we don't get, big power weapons to fight for, big plays like that. It's exciting. It makes the initials great, but I love the pure plays where you only have the retro, you only have the instant, you only have the shock, right? The better team comes out in the end, and VQ was the better team in this series. Yet another 2-0. Jacob, 2-0s across the board for tonight.
It looks like I actually can make my dinner plans tonight. That's looking good, looking good. Maybe one of these teams that are victorious can actually help. Buy me some dinner, man. I'm over here casting away to entertain you guys. What about some dinner for me? But all jokes aside, though, even though that was a 2-0, some people that might have missed this match was like, okay, Vanquish beat Noble. That's a loss there, but that's just a close series. This one was definitely close. I was thinking we were going to get a round number 18. I said it there at a moment.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, how could you not? Harbor was a round 9. We could have got a round 9 as well here on Vascar. I mean, the way that they were answering back, Noble was showing great composure. I love their teamwork, and that's one thing that I've always enjoyed about Noble. Even though I can't place where they kind of sit on the leaderboard, I will say their performance against VQ just now definitely raises their stock, at least in my mind. And obviously, they're a talented roster. They didn't have a good MSP showing, but they finished first place in phase 1, and that carries a lot of weight, despite maybe a few lackluster performances, at least when I've had a chance to see them. But their performance tonight against VQ, despite it being a 2-0, as you mentioned, it was a close series. We saw a round 9, we saw a round 8, and it was close all the way, and a lot of great showing. It was Xysho, first and foremost. He was doing a great job clutching up, picking up those big moments. I'm very impressed with Reptile, though. I think Reptile, for me, is kind of the MVP in my mind, because not only was he a great playmaker up close and personal, he very much so impressed me with the amount of assists he was getting, with the way that he was snubbing out and lancering out. Again, that is so valuable, Jacob.
It definitely is, but I like the way you kind of pointed that out there for a moment, because you kind of see Hndles. I do believe, I want to say precisions there for that. The majority of that one, we're taking those 2v2 fights almost throughout the entirety of that match. And they were coming out on top, and it was like a chess match there in that final round. Noble was kind of pushed up there towards that neutral hill. You kind of saw that Vanquish was pushed back towards the high ground, but inch by inch, Vanquish took over. They pushed down the steps. They got that capture and forced that fight against Noble. And that's kind of what you're kind of seeing is the trend of the day for some of these 2-0s. You saw it from E United. You see it from Vanquish. You saw it from Rebel. They're creating those opportunities for themselves. They're not wasting any time there, and they're not letting these opportunities go to waste. And that's something that I've been harping on since literally Gears of War 5 came out, that I really wanted to note about is, Ghost Gaming versus, I do believe it might have been Glory or Simplicity at the time, to where they completely dominated them about like at 14-0 at the time due to different escalation rules. When they went into that grand finals against Tox at the time, they weren't prepared, because they went and just 10-0'd the other team. They didn't have any contention. They were able to get warmed up. But that's where I'm really looking at some of these teams throughout the course of this season. Get yourselves warmed up before you guys play these matches. And 1-2 scrims under your belt. Yeah, you can't go balls to the wall to where you lay it all on the line, but you at least need to get that momentum, start hitting those shots. And then there, you can kind of say, okay, maybe I'm not playing as good as my shotgun today. Maybe I'm not playing as good as my Lancer. And then you can make those adjustments as needed during the match.
And I think ultimately, both team-wise, I think both played very well. You know, overall, tonight is probably one of the best series or one of the better series, I should say, that I had a chance to witness, at least from Noble and VQ. So good for them. I'm very curious to see the future. Obviously, VQ takes the first hit, and they at least are able to lead now 1-0 or be up 1-0 in their overall series or overall map win percentage. There you go, or at least series win percentage. Couldn't get that out, but